something to talk about. I'm Linda McNamee, and as you saw from our opening sequence, we're going to find out what's going on at the mall, because I'm sure you've driven either down Middlesex Turnpike or Mall Road and said, hey, what's going on at the mall? But before we begin, I would like to invite you to give us a call this evening, 781-270-9199. Oh, I think that's the number. I never call. Or you can always email me at talk@bcattv.org. I love to get email. If you have a suggestion for a future topic, love to hear from you, because I'm always looking for new ideas. As always, I would like to thank the crew for this evening, Chris Flaherty, who is a staff member here, making sure all of us volunteers behave ourselves. And he knows where the fire extinguisher is. Not that we've ever needed it, but I would also like to thank Jolie Atwood and Dominic Squilini for giving up their Wednesday evenings to come hang out at BCAT and help me out. And last, but as always, definitely not least, I would like to thank my husband Paul for staying home for Daddy Date Night. Hope you enjoyed the hip hop class over for dance. Hopefully you didn't really do any hip hop. But anyway, I digress. Now I would like to introduce my wonderful guest for this evening, Sheila Hennessy, who is the Director of Mall Marketing and Business Development. Wow, that's quite a title.
Yes, it is. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, this is great. I mean, there is just so many great things happening at the mall. I'm glad we have an hour to kind of talk through everything and have everybody, again, when they're driving on Mall Road or Middlesex Turnpike, say, oh, that's what Sheila and Linda were talking about. Now I get it.
And also, please don't take as long as the big dig took.
Okay.
Well, because, it's construction and, the years, like we were talking before, years kind of blend together. And it's like, okay, when did that start? And when's it going to be done? So anyway, but before we get into the mall, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, how you came to the Burlington area, and why you decided to get involved in marketing?
Okay, that's great questions. So I grew up on the North Shore, went to college here in Massachusetts, and started working in the mall industry. I've pretty much grown up in the mall industry, and an opportunity came up in the late 80s for me to move to South Florida. Right? Not a bad spot.
I know, especially in wintertime.
Windsurfing and all sorts of fun things. And obviously my family strongly encouraged me, because now they had a great place to stay.
We're having
while I was there.
Thanksgiving at Sheila's house.
Yeah. So I was down there for 7 years.
Wow.
I loved it. Great lifestyle. Again, windsurfing and playing tennis and outside bike riding, beaches. And then I met my husband, and we just decided we wanted to move back to the New England area.
Okay. Was he originally from
He's from actually Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
So as
I wasn't sure if he was from Florida.
Yeah, no. I think most of South Florida is a transplant.
I think so. I've never met more people from New Jersey until I moved to South Florida.
Yeah, really good point. Yeah, I almost felt like I lived in New York at times, but I did start saying y'all, which was kind of a funny thing. Yeah, so I don't know, some Southern did get in me down there. So we decided we wanted to get married and start our family, and we really liked the values of the New England area. So that's what brought us back, and as two working professionals do, we just said whoever gets the job first, whether it's the Philadelphia market or Boston, that's who it would be. So I'm a good networker. My friend was the marketing director of Town Center at Boca Raton, who was at the time CPI owned Burlington Mall, and put me in touch with the right people, and I interviewed, and then the position was offered to me, and that brought me back to the New England area. Little interesting story about me in Burlington Mall. I'm somewhat of a boomerang, I call myself. So I moved back in the early 90s, and 10 years was at Burlington Mall. And then it started getting a little dicey with my husband working in Boston and me working in Burlington, and we had pretty much a solid hour commute. We decided we didn't want to just always be rushing in, but spend a little more time with our children. So I transferred to Solomon Pond Mall, which was 15 minutes from my home.
Okay.
So for me, that's the beauty of a company like Simon, is that they kind of have malls all over the greater Boston area. And for me, it was great because I could be a mom. I could make sure my children got off on the bus and could make sure I didn't miss too many plays, or if there was an after-school activity, I was able to balance that with work.
Soccer game or
exactly.
Christmas pageant or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then 2 years ago, my boss gave me a call and said, Burlington's open, and I'd love you to consider it.
Wow.
My son's in college,
no
my
more soccer
daughter's exactly, and I thought maybe this is a sign. So I've been back at Burlington 2 years, and it's really nice because things have changed, and they should in 10 years, but there was a lot still familiar to me. So it was a really nice journey. Quite a few of the owners and the managers of the stores at the mall were still there.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm like, hi, Bobby from Pizzeria Regina and Vishal at Gourmet India.
Oh, okay.
Amy at Legal Seafood. Sounds like I eat a lot there, doesn't it? That I just I said everybody who's food. So for me,
you just walk the mall.
Yeah,
and just
exactly.
meet everybody.
Yeah. So that's kind of the story of Sheila Hennessy, the boomerang back at Burlington. It's such an exciting time to be back in Burlington Mall. It's wonderful. Yeah.
So, as marketing director, yes, director of mall marketing, what exactly does that entail?
Sure. So I think I can be broken down into 2 or 3 major categories.
Other than walking the mall and
exactly, eating.
And eating. Quality control.
Yes, exactly. I work with the retailers, and I put programs together, such as Beauty Week or Dining Destination Week or Burlington Delivered, powered by DoorDash.
Okay. Do you also do like Santa and the Easter Bunny and stuff?
And seasonal photo. I'm the one who's responsible to make sure the set gets up on time. Working with everybody.
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Were you at the mall for that?
No, I wasn't.
Oh,
no,
okay.
no,
but
I wasn't.
That would be something that you're
that would fall under, kind of that coordination. So the events, also working in the community. Burlington Mall works quite a bit. You know, we come out and do interviews. We work with people helping
like
people. We have the Wish Tree program.
Oh, yeah.
We volunteer at their pumpkin patch. Something near and dear to the whole community is Safety Town.
Love
right?
Safety Town. Love
50
Safety Town.
years this year.
Has it been
50.
that long?
Yeah, so we're...
Now, was it open this past summer?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was because of, the
Oh,
former
absolutely.
Sears automotive.
No, we have never missed a year. And
Officer Scipoletti now has his own street
sign.
sign.
Bernie has his own street sign. Now we have 3. Officer Scipoletti, Officer Stryker, and Officer Peterson, who originally began the program. And Bernie, actually, I got to work with him my first year back at Burlington, and now he has turned over the Safety Town program to Officer Garcia. So he's running it. We had it last year. I'm still waiting on the August dates, but we're going to have a really fun celebration. It's 50 years. Wow. Like, where does a private and public and partnership last for 50 years?
Now, is there any plans to expand Safety Town? Because it's only like the Safety Town for kindergartners and first grade. It's to teach them pedestrian safety and school bus safety.
Yep.
But it's only like 3 days in August.
Yeah. So the program has changed, certainly. It used to be 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then the demand has changed. So right now we're finding that 3 days is that right amount of time. But the police department's just so wonderful to work with that if we had all of a sudden a lot of people or we sold out,
or something.
Exactly, we're able to do that. Last year was the first year we added a caring Safety Town for children that have autism. We felt
it's like a sensory friendly
exactly
type?
Yeah.
Wow,
and we introduced that, and we'll bring that back again next year, and that would add the 4th day.
All right.
And also just to kind of end the week on such a positive note, last year we also added Cookies with a Cop. So story reading up in the play area. We had cookies and snacks for the children. So we expanded
and the parents.
it. Yeah, and the parents. So we expanded it to the whole week. So
cool.
we have some really fun things in store for the 50th celebration.
Yeah.
We've already started talking with the police department. And one of the things we're going to be doing is if you graduated from Safety Town, we're going to be at the Celebration Burlington, the Parks and Recs program. So be sure to stop by our booth.
So if you've ever graduated, so like my kids would qualify even though they're now in third and fifth grade?
Yeah, so we're going to have...
I got to find their certificate then.
Yeah. So we're going to have a nice celebration the first day of the 50th annual, and I'm sure the media will be there because, again...
BCAT will be there, especially if they're cookies.
Yeah, in 50 years. So, yeah, so that's the second tier of my position is to work within the community and build those solid relationships. And then the third part is working with the mall cops and the business development side of the mall.
Do you have to deal with like leases or anything, or is that somebody else?
Not leases, more like outside businesses that find because of the traffic that is in a mall, that's a place where they want to interact with customers. So a good example of that would be like Tough Mudder came out in October to talk to customers about their exercise program. Yeah, so that's kind of the third component. So events, working with the retailers, having quality programming and working within the community. And then the third is the business development piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in your copious spare time. So the mall has changed a lot. I think my husband, he grew up in this area. And I think he said he remembers when the mall was only one level. So Burlington has changed over the past 50 years. And I want to talk a little bit more about Safety Town a little bit later.
Sure.
But the community is changing. The community is, you know, the town of Burlington is changing exponentially. How is the mall keeping up with all of these changes? And I have a feeling that was kind of one of the catalysts to trigger what's going on right now.
Sure. Well, Simon, the owner of the shopping center,
now, are they like a local?
They're out of
Northeast?
Indiana.
Oh, they are. Oh,
yep, Midwest company.
Okay.
Simon really saw the vision many years ago, and knew that Burlington Mall in Burlington is a very important community. So we looked at what can we do to keep up with the changing times and the changing consumers. So the first phase of the redevelopment is on the corner of Mall Road and Middlesex Turnpike. As everyone drives by, they probably already see Cafe Nero has opened.
I was there for lunch today.
Yeah. So, there you go. So we're calling that the Village at Burlington Mall. Yes. So the Village at Burlington Mall has 4 stores already open. Most of
what is the capacity?
Sure, it's a total of 14. So a little over a dozen.
The building was that big.
Yeah. So it's almost like a theater in the round is the way I describe it. So you really want to be able to walk around it. We will have 2 to 3 restaurants, such as Cafe Nero, Sweet Green, and they're going to have some.
What's Sweet Green?
Sweet Greens is wonderful salads.
Yeah, just like it sounds.
Exactly. So
that's not there yet, is it?
No, that's going to be opening up in the next few months. Actually,
how much lead time? Sorry, tangents.
That's
how much lead time do you, as in your position, normally get for a business wanting to move into the mall? Is it like a 3-month? Is it a 6-month? Is it depending on the business? Yeah,
I think definitely the build out of the store can be anywhere from, depends on how elaborate it is. If it's a vanilla box, as we call it, then that's going to require a lot more time for constructions, fixtures, etc. So that can be anywhere from 8 weeks to 4 months if it's a
Wow.
restaurant, and
Okay.
you have to bring in ovens and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of the tenant piece of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So as far as the village goes, as I
Village.
mentioned,
Sweet Greens.
yes, so it's a variety of restaurants and services and really kind of experiences. So one new tenant we have coming in is called Codeverse. So it's where you can send your children to the Codeverse store and they can learn code.
Oh,
So
cool.
they have summer camps, after school programs.
I'm thinking Girl Scout and Cub Scout opportunities.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
So
we've already been to a couple of, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I'm going to anyway.
Yeah.
We've been to the Microsoft store, and we've been to the Apple
Apple
store.
store, yeah.
And I think there's another store where they've hosted like yoga and stuff.
Yep. Probably Lululemon or Athleta.
I think it might be Athleta.
Athleta.
Anyway,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah, so Codeverse is coming.
Okay.
They're going to
And
be
that's at the
open.
Village.
Exactly, the Village. So who we have coming into the Village or is already open, I'll start with who's open.
Okay.
Stretch Lab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that like an exercise place?
Yes,
Or,
it's you book
like
a
stretch.
bench and they have reflexologists
Oh.
that will stretch you out.
Can they make me
or-
taller?
That would be nice.
That would be nice. Yeah, I'd like to be, 5'7".
Yeah. So Stretch Lab, Modern Acupuncture.
Okay.
And then we have Cafe Nero and You Break I Fix open. The neat thing about You Break I Fix is they're an authorized phone dealer for
Oh.
Google as well as Samsung. So that's a
Oh,
really
okay.
important thing.
Now, is there already like a kiosk at the mall that's iFix?
That's inside, yeah.
So they have like 2 locations?
Exactly.
Oh,
Yep.
cool. Because there's
So-
also a Cafe Nero in the mall, isn't there? Wow.
Yeah, and they just feel that there's really enough demand for both.
Oh,
and you
okay.
saw the store that they have in the village. It's
nice.
beautiful.
It is.
And now you
There
can
were like some
sit-
people camping out there with their laptops
Oh yeah,
and just
yeah.
working.
It's always busy a
Wow.
lot.
Okay.
I mentioned stores that are going to be coming up. I mentioned Codeverse,
Okay.
a blow dry. So you can get your hair and some other cosmetic type things done.
Okay.
We also have Skin MD, so
okay.
laser, and those are kind of the big ones that are coming in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the timeline for all of this?
Sure. As I mentioned, 2 opened a few weeks ago, and the
Okay.
majority of the others will be opened by end of June, early July.
Okay.
Another really great store or restaurant I forgot was Yukaku, which is a Japanese barbecue.
Like, I can't even pronounce that.
Yeah, so you can
Ooh, the
have your
Japanese, that's where they have like the big grills
Exactly.
and the guys like throw food up in the air.
no,
and catch
not
it.
they actually. This is more of a charcoal.
Oh.
So
okay.
you'll be dining with friends, and it's a very it's an experience to go, and then you'll be able
Well, seeing
to.
the guys throw food up with the spatula and catch it behind the
Yeah,
back. That's an
that's fun.
experience
Yeah,
too. but-
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So Yukaku is coming as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, everyone will be
And that's
open.
at the Village as
That's
well?
at the
Oh,
Village.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's, you were telling me earlier, that's like phase 1
Yep.
is the Village, which is what used to be the Sears Automotive.
Correct.
Okay. And Safety Town is behind there.
Correct.
Okay. And that's all kind of staying as.
Yeah, and
Okay.
as we talked about, that's almost finished. The construction's finished.
Okay.
The stores are building out. So really,
Okay.
by the end of
When you say building out, what does that mean? Like, to me, it sounds like it's expanding.
taking the space inside of the building
Okay.
and making it look like a modern
So they're
acupuncture.
customizing it for.
Exactly, for customers.
Okay, so instead of just 4 walls, they're like
Yep.
creating their own unique space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of bringing the brand and
Okay.
what they're all about. Obviously, Stretch Lab, when
okay.
you go in there, there's some benches. And they do group classes as well as individual
wow.
stretching.
Wow,
So,
okay.
yeah, that's the Village. So, again, June, early July, pretty
Okay.
much everyone will be opened over there.
Okay, so that's phase one. How many
Phase one.
phases are there?
There's 3.
3 phases.
Yep.
Well, let's start talking about phase 2.
All right, so phase 2 is the lower level Primark wing, or what was
Okay.
Sears.
Okay.
That is going to be a collection of outward facing restaurants and retail.
Okay, so kind of like, I don't want to call it a strip mall, but it's not internally accessed, it's externally accessed?
Well, the great thing about this is it's both internal
both.
and
Wow,
external.
okay.
Yeah. So the really
pretty
neat
cool.
thing
All right.
about phase 2 of the redevelopment is with these outward-facing restaurants, and some include Fogo de Chao and Shake Shack. Is you can be outside because they'll have patio seating. And you can also enter the restaurant or the store from the inside, of the mall. Yeah, so
Okay.
there'll be total
Kind of like Cheesecake
connectivity.
Factory.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. And really the neat thing about the lower level Primark wing redevelopment is now we have space, green space.
Really?
So
Oh, yeah,
we'll
tell me
be
more about
able
that.
to do some programming.
Okay.
You know, an ice skating rink is in the future,
Okay.
as well as just some really fun quality family programming, as
Fun.
well as we'll have the
Like
big
concerts
games.
and stuff?
Yeah,
or-
exactly. We're
okay.
kind of putting all of those things together. It could be kind of a family movie night and come down and
And you
watch
can
a
take care of the
family movie.
mosquitoes, right?
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure the wind is right that night.
Cool.
So that's the really exciting part of.
So where's the outdoor, I know we talked about this earlier,
Yeah.
but just for everybody watching, where's that outdoor space
Sure.
going?
So that's going to wrap the corner of the lower level where if you're looking at the new Cafe Nero, you can see that, and then it will wrap around the corner.
Okay, so we talked about this earlier, where one of the entrance, like the kiosk was,
Mm-hmm.
and where they had that little fenced-in area where they put all their lawnmowers
Lawns,
and snow blowers.
exactly.
And so that side, and then wrapping around to the back, where
Exactly.
it was the, catalog pickup, or
Sure.
there was like that overhang.
Yep.
And you walked
Probably
in.
not as far, but that is definitely
Okay.
kind of the orientation.
Okay, and what's the timeline for all
Sure.
this?
So amazing.
Because I want to go ice skating.
Yeah, amazing. So Shake Shack will be opening up at the end of May.
Wow.
So that whole section of the mall,
Inside and out?
right now we'll have the entrance. So we have 3 new mall entrances coming
Okay.
as well, which is really
cool.
exciting, just in that one area of the mall.
Okay.
So there's an entrance next to Shake Shack, so you'll be able to get your burger and shake May through September. And then in September, we have a variety of other stores that will be opening. I mentioned Fogo de Chao, as well as Milton's, the men's store.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so we're really excited about that. And also Land's End will be moving from inside of the mall out.
Are they still there?
Yes,
Because I thought they were part of Sears.
they
like
were.
Sears bought them out.
Yeah,
or I don't know how it worked.
and when all that happened, they've been in the lower level Primark wing at Sears for 2 years, 2.5 years. So now they want space on the outside. So they'll be moving to the outside.
Okay.
And then we also have Fabletics, which is a activewear store that's
Okay.
going to be coming in as well. So those stores will be opening up in September. And then the other stores that not all of them are signed, so I can't say who they
okay.
are, but then they'll be
Because then
opening
you'd have to kill me, and that wouldn't be pretty.
October through
okay.
next year. So the programming for this green space or the park, as
Yeah.
we're calling it right now, will start with back to school. So we'll have some just kind of low-key programming. You
Okay.
mentioned your Girl Scouts
Yeah.
doing yoga and probably Athleta. So Athleta will be able to come out and host their yoga on the lawn or the
Oh, wow.
green. And we'll also do
Is there going to be
some-
like any covered area, or is it just going to be?
No, it's going to be outside.
Because I'm wondering what happens if it rains.
Yeah. Well,
They get
yeah,
wet.
exactly.
Okay.
Or the good news is then you would go into the store. And then what we're looking at is probably fall. bringing the ice skating rink to the park area.
Okay.
And then
Now, how big is this ice skating rink? Is it like the size of an indoor, like hockey?
I think it's probably a studio.
Oh, okay.
I think I used to know someone who owned an ice skating rink, and I think they use the term kind of a studio.
Okay.
So it's not the full
size. So it's
size.
not like ginormous.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking that will take up a lot of parking, and I do want to talk about parking,
no.
but I want you to finish
So
first.
it's actually it's not in the parking. It's in the area where there's a building. So we're not expanding out further into the parking. So we're actually reducing that. So it's not taking away from the parking. It's just a nice amenity that we get to add to the level or phase 2. Yeah. And then, as things come up, we'll have fun programming. We'll probably bring some of our Disney Junior events that are free out onto the green. Again, you just said, what happens if it rains? What happens if it's a beautiful day and everybody's like, I'd rather be outside?
Yeah.
Well, that's the really neat thing about this space. It's a hybrid, really. So where some malls only have an inside, Burlington Mall is going to have an inside and an outside. So really, really excited about phase 2. And like I said, gosh, May's right around the corner.
Yeah.
So Shake Shack will open in May, and then you'll see probably right around that back to school September period, more stores opening, and then it will be continuing into the holidays and then into 2021.
Wow.
So it'll be opened, and like I said, it may be coming down and having your friends and doing a cornhole tournament. We're going to have a lot of those fun things out there too.
Is this open space could it be considered yet another park where you could just go and hang out there, or do you have to have permission from the mall or permission from a store? Is a store going to own it or manage it?
The mall will manage it.
Okay.
So we'll work to make sure that we have good programming with our stores, and
so it's not like you just go down with your friends and play around a cornhole.
Well, you can do that.
Oh, you can
certainly,
do that. Okay.
yeah. But then we'll have structure to it as well.
Oh, okay.
So a little bit
Sorry,
of both.
I'm getting mush
No.
in my brain. So.
No problem at all. So yeah.
Okay. So phase 2 ends at October of 2020. So then phase 3 takes over?
So phase 3 is the renovation.
Know much? And that's what's currently going on inside, because I'm walking the mall. It's cement, and I think my Girl Scouts actually had a cookie booth in the mall, and we did great. It was so much fun.
I probably bought cookies from them. I can't resist those Thin Mints.
It looked like where CVS used to be, that entrance that we came in, I think it's by Lord & Taylor.
Yeah.
It looked, and I don't know if this is true, it could just be my memory failing, but it looks like there was a whole bunch of bags of potting soil or something. Is there stuff going on right now inside the mall? Redoing the plants? It looks like they're redoing lights or something?
Sure. We are giving it a full makeover, which is so appropriate, right, for a mall.
When's the last time it had a makeover?
I would say about 15 years ago, probably.
So it's due.
Yep, due. Kind of freshen up. So I guess we'll start with the mall entrances. So what you're going to see, as I mentioned, we started the construction in January. It will be fully complete by by summer 2021.
So an 18-month.
Yeah, but starting next week, you're already going to start to see what the new tile looks like in the Lord & Taylor Macy's area.
Did you get to pick out the tile?
No.
Oh. Wasn't sure if that was one of those other duties.
No, I wish, yeah. It is a collaboration, and everyone looks at it. Our operations team looks at it. How am I going to clean it? How am I going to keep the luster?
You sound like my mother. How
exactly.
am I gonna clean it? Who's going to clean this?
So it's a lot of that. So all new mall entrances. And I mentioned with phase 2, we have 3 new mall entrances coming.
And that's just in the Primark wing.
And that's in the Primark wing. And then we had an additional 3 mall entrances, and then we had the smaller ones by Lord & Taylor.
Okay.
So new mall
the
entrances.
Secret entrances, as my kids call them.
Exactly. We're going to be changing the vertical transportation a little bit too. So we're going to move what was the central elevators in the middle of the mall.
Okay.
And we're going to put them closer to mall entrances. So the mall entrance that's by Legal Seafood will have an elevator, and also the mall entrance by Lord & Taylor.
Okay.
So
now, right now, by Legal Seafoods is an escalator. Is the escalator going away?
No, so the escalator's just going to move up to the top of that wing.
Oh,
So
okay.
you'll see there's actually a hockey type barricade around what's going to be the new escalator area. And then the escalator on the other side of it will end up being taken away, because now we have one that will service two areas. So we mentioned elevators, we mentioned escalators, and then we're also doing something really fun with a ride share lounge. So while people are waiting for their Ubers or Lyfts, maybe the shuttle from an area hotel they're in traveling, we're going to have a nice space for them to relax in.
Oh, because there's already like designated spaces with big fluffy couches.
Exactly,
and
yep. And those
the giant chess. Is it chess?
Yep.
I know there's a Connect 4 thing. Oh, sorry, we can't call it Connect 4 because we're not licensed by Milton Bradley, but you know, there's also a cornhole in there. Is
Family fun zone. Yeah, so that's going to be actually put outside in the park. Yeah. And so we have other amenities, and moms are going to love this. We have a new play area that's going to be built. So the location's changing.
Okay,
it's
so
going
not going to be by the food court.
Yeah, it's going to move out of the food court. But the win on that is because we're going to put it on the upper level Macy's wing next to Build-A-Bear. Is inside of the play area is going to be a restroom as well as a nursing area. Sweet. And we're also looking at having 2 smaller rooms, and we'll work with parents if they want to host a birthday party.
Oh, cool.
So it's a triple win.
Yeah.
Even though it moves from the food court, all of a sudden you don't have to quickly run to the restroom at the back of the food court. But
or like
it's
if
going
you have
to
a
be right
Build-A-Bear
in there.
birthday party, you don't have to schlep the entire party down the mall and over to the food court.
Exactly. Yeah. So new play area.
Wow.
We're also looking at all new tile. Our columns are going to be changing. It's going to have more of a sleek look. We're looking at using some wood or a wood look that will give it a real warm feeling.
Like more natural.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even though I say summer 2021, like I said,
you'll start seeing.
Yeah, and if you look, you had mentioned too, the lighting in the mall has changed. So if you're on the upper level Lord & Taylor Macy's wing of the mall right now, and you look, you'll see the new color scheme. And like I said, starting next week, you're going to start to see the tile. So we're doing it in phases. So it's going to quickly change and evolve so that customers don't have to wait until summer 2021. That's just kind of the cherry on the ice cream, but we're going to continue to show the new look of the mall. So we're really, really excited about that. Yeah.
Now, I know you probably can't tell me details, but I'm just wondering, there are a lot of restaurants and a lot of shops going in.
Sure.
And you had mentioned like the outdoor area might have movies and programs. And are there going to be any like family activities to do other than like the outdoor ice skating? Like I mentioned before, like indoor skydiving, and there's a mall out by where my parents live that have like a go-kart place in it, or roller skating, or a movie theater, or any of those non-retail outlets going to be available?
Not at this time.
Okay.
You know, we will continue to look at things, but not in the foreseeable future. I think between all of the great new restaurants, the new concepts like a code verse, right, that you can come to the village and have programming done, or your child can take classes in programming. So I think that's more of kind of the experience that we're seeing
kind of hoping
will
for indoor
fit.
skydiving.
Yeah, it scares me.
Well, you don't go very far. It's only like,
Oh,
you're in a
really?
wind
Oh,
tunnel
okay.
and you never go more than like 4 or 5 feet off the
Okay.
ground. It's just really windy.
Oh, okay, yep.
So that's why it's but another comment that I've heard just in my travels is a lot of the stores in the mall tend to be higher end. And like we're missing the middle class level store spending. Have you heard any of this, and how would you address like everything's becoming like really froofy?
Sure. I think if you walk the mall, you see we have a variety of stores and services, really for everybody. You know, we have a children's place. You know, you can pick up jeans for your children anywhere from $5 to $8, depending upon the sale.
Okay, that works.
So I think what we do is we have a great variety and selection. So I really think we do have something for everybody, as well as our restaurants. You know, we have pizza and Chick-fil-A, and then we also have the Cheesecake Factory. So really depending upon...
Where there's always a 3-hour wait.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to eat. I think Burlington Mall is a really good example of a variety of merchandise and services and restaurants for pretty much everybody.
Cool. Now, when a retailer, or when a business approaches you, I don't know if it's you personally or mall management, do they decide, oh, that's too similar to this other store, or is it just like, hey, sure, come on in?
Yeah.
It's,
no, our leasing agent, it does an amazing job of really making sure that there's a balance. You know, you don't want too many of one category. I mentioned
they've had to turn somebody away.
Yeah, well, we have. If we don't feel that it's the right fit for Burlington, absolutely. So with the addition of like Milton's, the store for men, it's a really nice, it's a great men's store to begin with, and it really affords us the ability to expand. You know, we have an Express and a Banana Republic that has men's. Untuckit just came in. They're doing fabulous. They came in November of last year, and now we have Milton's, which is more the suit and a little more formal. So again, our leasing agent just does a great job to make sure that
balance.
Yeah, all categories. We mentioned, you know, children's categories, so we have 5 or 6 stores that really talk to what type of clothing, what type of price point. A new example, or an example that we just opened in October was Hope and Henry. It's a wonderful children's clothing store. It's all organic cotton that's used, and they're really their mission is about sustainability. And I've had so many shoppers say to me, "Oh my gosh!" and it's so affordable. So that's at the top of the escalator by Primark. You'll see it right on the left, right next to Clark. So I think that's what's great about our leasing agent is she's always looking for what we call first-to-market stores, stores that are new, and they choose Burlington. Another couple examples of that is Altered State. We were the first one to get that in Massachusetts. It's a women's clothing store. Also Flying Tiger from Copenhagen. It's almost like where IKEA Market
I like that store.
matches.
Really cool
little
stuff.
5 and down. Yeah, I mean, kids go in there. You mentioned your Girl Scout troop, like with
I also
$5
remember,
or
like,
$6, and they come up with great
town
stuff.
Where I went to college, there was a store that it was just cool stuff to look at, and that store reminds me of it.
I mean, you can go in there with $10 and come out with a bag full.
Cool.
And really just neat stuff. Little bunny ears, they're very seasonal, or you can get a
Kitschy
can opener.
Stuff too.
Yeah. So really, I think, our leasing agent does a good job to make sure there's a balance.
Cool. Now, how long do leases usually last? Just
Sure. A lease can be anywhere from a 3 to a 7 year.
so it's not a standard.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm just looking. Let's talk a little bit more about Safety Town.
Okay.
Now, with all of the new things going up, is Safety Town going to stay where it is?
Oh, yeah.
And will it be accessible when it's not being used by, as the official safety town, like the kindergarten, first grade bus safety. Can kids just go with their parents and check out Safety Town, or?
Typically not, only because we want to make sure that it stays intact for the programming. And there's so many other spaces in the mall, outside of the mall that we just talked about, that we want people congregating, enjoying, that probably Safety Town is not one of those.
Okay, because that's really fun riding your bike around. Actually, my Cub Scouts did go through the mall and get special permission to say, hey, we want to do an event at Safety Town, and we talked to the Burlington Police Department, and Officer Scipoletti came and taught my Cub Scouts about bicycle safety and hand signals, and
that's great.
So we were able to use Safety Town.
And I think you and I spoke, and we
Probably.
didn't even know it back then.
We
But
didn't know.
yeah, we don't want to open up Pandora's box. But certainly when a customer calls, we listen and obviously work with the police department.
Don't go hang out at Safety Town.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Now, let's talk about other community partnerships you have. Not limited to, but I'm also thinking about the exercise program that I think is sponsored by Leahy Clinic, where the mall, the non-store part of the mall opens up so people can just kind of do laps around the mall.
Sure.
And there's like mile markers or something. How did that develop, and what's the whole deal with that? And is it like an official thing, or?
Absolutely, mall walking.
Okay.
So we open the mall 3 hours before normal operating hours for people. For anyone in the community. We have a lot of Burlington residents. It's very interesting too, because I'm usually there at 8:30 in the morning, and I start to get to know everybody. So Bob's from Lexington, and I just talked to him the other day, and he's like, I think we should have a stamp machine. So the mall walkers are here, and it's great. So obviously Leahy is a huge partner with us in the community and for the whole community of Burlington. So what they do is patients who need to exercise, they certainly recommend the mall. What's great about it is it's year-round, and you don't have to worry about the weather conditions, but the mall is...
So don't have to worry if it rains.
Yeah, and we do have... we have a brochure actually that tells them if you go around the first level and make sure you go down all of the corridors, it's 3/4 of a mile. I know once we open the new section of the mall in September, I'm already planning on updating the mall walkers brochure, and it's probably going to be a mile.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think we're going to at least get a mile.
But you got to go around all
Exactly, and you need to go down.
Shortcuts.
There's no cheating. So in Leahy, again, such a great partner, they actually have a nurse who comes down on Tuesdays from 7:45 until 10 o'clock, and she does blood pressure. Linda is absolutely wonderful. There's usually a line, and it's just a great service, and sometimes she'll bring someone with her, so every Tuesday, 7:45 until 10 o'clock, the mall walkers can kind of check in and make sure everything's going good. So yeah, that's our mall walkers
sounds
program.
like Bob from Lexington wants a little passport every time, when you pass go, you get a stamp in your book.
And I saw him this week, and he was just so excited he remembered my name. And how I remembered his, truth be told, is he was wearing a Red Sox B hat, and after he introduced himself, and we saw each other a couple times in the mall, and then he was asking me questions about the renovation, and he said, well, I'm Bob, I'm from Lexington. I'm like, okay, Bob from Lexington. I looked up at his hat, I'm like, okay, the B and the B, you'll remember his name. Yeah, the mall walkers are great, and then usually they'll go up and have a cup of coffee, whether it's at Cafe Nero or up in the food court. It's usually the senior citizens is what we usually see at 7, 8 in the morning, and then usually
you're not going to see me at 7 o'clock in the morning.
And then usually, around 8:39, we see the moms who come out. so that,
Older kids on the school bus, younger kids with the stroller.
Exactly. So it's really, that's why that 7 to 10 works, and you see a lot of people, and Leahy does a great job with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the other community partners you have? We talked about the police station with Safety Town, Leahy Clinic with the mall walkers.
Another program that's near and dear to Simon is education. We have the Simon Youth Foundation. And right here in Burlington at the high school, we have an academy, a Simon Youth Academy. So what this is a program for students where traditional high school just doesn't work for them. And we graduate anywhere depending upon the class, and Jill Graham is the director right here at Burlington High and does an amazing job with the students.
So it's at the high school, but it's sponsored by the mall.
Sponsored by Simon Youth Foundation, which is the arm of Simon. And so what happens is they are required to work at least 25 to 30 hours a week, and then they go to school at night. Because that just works for them for a variety of different reasons. Sometimes the student may have had an accident and requires physical therapy and occupational therapy during the day. Sometimes there's other situations that they need to work, and then again they can come to school in the evening. Jill and her team are absolutely wonderful. And we graduate students, and those students, we give scholarships to them, and they go on to community schools and then eventually four-year programs. And the great thing about the Simon Youth Academy at Burlington High is they get a high school diploma. Which
now, is the high school diploma from Burlington High School? Okay, so they don't get a diploma that says I graduated from Simon Youth Academy.
No, an accredited high school, and that affords them the ability to go on with their learning if that's what they want, or some go into a trade or whatever the case may be. So Simon Youth Foundation, with having an academy right here in Burlington. Rick Parker from the Chamber came down to the graduation last year, and he said, oh my gosh, I didn't even know about this. So we're in our 4th year, and so that's really big. And I mentioned people helping people. We're working with Judy Walsh all the time in terms of the pumpkin patch. We volunteer for a day, and we also do the wish tree in the mall. Salvation Army, Red Kettle Drive. So there's a variety of partnerships that we do work within the community.
And you also work with the Girl Scouts, because we entered a lottery and we won.
Oh, good.
So we got, good. Like, well, that's not fair. Burlington's in Burlington. The Burlington Mall's in Burlington. Burlington Girl Scout shit. No. We have to share.
The Girl Scouts make sure of that. Yes, exactly. And I'm sure the girls loved it being inside. And they're so cute.
They had a blast.
They really are.
So I'm just, So we talked about a lot of the changes that are going on. Now, is it just because the mall needs a facelift? Because, like you said, it's been 15 years? Or is the mall finding it's getting more competition now that online is becoming more popular? And the traditional brick and mortar stores are having a harder time. How has that played a role in all these phases of development?
Sure. Well, I think many years ago, Simon recognized Burlington and knows that it's a great property, and there's a great demand from retailers to be in Burlington Mall. You mentioned e-tailers, as we call them, internet tailors. And now what we're finding is they want bricks and mortar, so we're blending together very nicely. I think years ago you could only get an Untucked shirt online, and now they're here in the mall. Hope and Henry is another example of a store that was just online, but in order for them to really make sure they have a wider audience, they're finding malls. And I think the stores also are doing a really good job, where you can order something online and come to Nordstrom's and it's ready for you, and you can pick it up and take it home. or you can try it on. So I think
yeah, see, you know, stuff like shoes, I'm always afraid to buy online because I want to go and see it and try it. And
yep. And as many people say, "Oh, I love online," there's a lot of people that love that touch and feel, and you want to see it because even though you've always bought a size 8 shoe, all of a sudden the cut might be, or the pointy toe all of a sudden makes you feel an 8.5 is better. And let's face it, sometimes things just come up and you can't wait for it to get delivered.
Exactly.
So that's where the mall does a really good job.
Oh no, my kid has a birthday party tomorrow.
Exactly.
You know?
And the best thing about that is Learning Express Toys in the mall will wrap it for you and have you out the door. Yeah. So I think
there's a Learning Express.
Yeah, lower level Nordstrom Way.
Love that store.
Yeah, it is a great store.
Okay. Parking. This was like the big question that I had.
Okay.
Parking has always been tight at the mall. Now with all of these really cool programs coming up and the skating rink and the expansion, are there any contingency plans for parking, like building a parking garage or getting another lot somewhere? Or
Sure. So the mall has over 5,000 spaces, and that is certainly within compliance with the town of Burlington requirements. So we have enough spaces. What's going to happen is with phase 2 redevelopment, we're adding 3 new mall entrances. So that what that means is the lot that was kind of on Mall Road, right there on the corner, now you're going to be able to get into the mall very quickly. So we think that's going to open up, as well as the lot kind of on the Macy's side. It's a big lot. I think a lot of people want to park as close to the entrance as possible. So there is a lot of parking. There's enough parking for everybody. Maybe don't quote me 2 days before Christmas. You might have to be riding around.
December 23rd.
Yeah. I think, again, what you'll find is with these 3 new mall entrances, that whole portion of the parking lot's going to open up. And the other thing is with the Village at Burlington Mall and a lot of the new restaurants that are coming, their operating hours are slightly different than traditional retail. So a restaurant opens up a little bit later and stays open, you know, till 11 o'clock or maybe 11:30, depending upon you know, how the diners are finishing up their meal. So it's going to be a change and kind of a shift in how people come to the mall and what they come for, because dining's a little bit of a different experience than I need to pick up that birthday gift for my child, because the birthday is tomorrow.
Birthday party is, you know.
Yeah, or maybe
kid
in a
gets
couple
off the school
hours.
bus. Mom, I want to go to you know, so-and-so's birthday party.
And then we're
when
off.
is it? Tonight.
Yeah, so again, I think parking is that, and as the mall continues to change and look at different uses, things like the Village, if there was ever a need for a parking structure, we'd certainly work with the town of Burlington.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know what the logistics are for that.
But right now we're really in a good space, and then there's a lot of different exits also to get out of the mall.
And like you had also said, there's the seating, the lounge area for the
ride
Ubers,
share.
Thank
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
I'm like the Uber and Lyft and bus and
yeah.
So we only have a couple minutes left.
Oh wow!
Believe it or not.
Okay.
So, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure that we mention?
I think, let's see. We talked about just how shopping is changing. The other thing is we have a great website and an app where people, just as you said, oh, I didn't know there was a Learning Express. Whether it's the app or our website, you're able to look on it, and then we'll let you know what's the best mall entrance to use, so that you can kind of, if you need to get in and out of the mall quickly, you can do that. So I think we're
Now, is
doing
that going to be like live, where you have like cameras on the parking lot, and you're like, oh, there's 3 parking spaces over here, or
not
is it
that
just going to be?
sophisticated.
Okay.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
exactly. Yeah, that would be
You know, like the new
really
parking
neat.
garages that have the green lights on the ceiling, and
yeah.
it's like, ooh, there's a spot over there.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm sure there's some entrepreneur out there that's figuring out how to make
How to
that
do
app,
that.
and maybe it's
Okay.
tied into the parking lot light. And I think that's
Okay.
the neat thing about business now is there's so much change happening out
Yeah.
there. So I think Burlington Mall is certainly at a forefront.
Okay.
We're really excited to have the completion of the village and have that really kind of buttoned up.
Okay.
June, early July, Shake Shack is opening,
Okay.
lower level Primark wing, and then the renovation is finishing up into 2021.
Okay. Ooh, I did think of another question.
Okay.
The skating rink that you mentioned. Will there be the option to rent or borrow skates, or is it strictly bring your own?
Absolutely. Both.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we'll have not only just skate rental, but maybe for someone who's learning how to skate, we'll have the
Oh, little
guides as
crates?
well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. And hopefully, with any luck, we'll have maybe a little hot chocolate stand and something else that just makes it a really nice family experience.
Fun.
Yeah. So
Gotta
there's
have like the little fire, the little fire pits. Well, I don't know. That would probably be, secured safety issues, but it would be kind of nice.
Yeah, I think I think the whole kind of furniture of having that outside
Okay.
patio that does have some sort of tempered glass around it,
Okay.
probably a propane-based flame,
Yeah.
will
Yeah,
work
no,
a lot
I'm sure
better.
it
Yeah,
wouldn't be,
exactly.
They'll throw another
Yeah,
log on
yeah.
the fire. Yeah.
We're not Girl Scout camping.
What could possibly go wrong there?
Yeah, but no, so excited, Burlington Mall to really continue to evolve with the times. And as we mentioned, we're bringing a lot of great brands, as well as, especially with Easter right around the corner, Harbor Sweets from Salem, Mass.
Okay.
Opened their store in November
Okay.
of this past year. So if you need any extra treats for the Easter basket, their chocolate is really amazing.
And the Easter Bunny's coming soon.
Yeah, the Easter Bunny is here. Yeah,
Already?
yeah. So he came last Friday, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Now, I saw a sign on like the big kiosk thing
Yep.
that you could get a fast pass for the
yeah,
Easter
of
Bunny.
course, we're keeping up with Disney, right?
That is pretty cool. How do you do
Yeah.
that? Real
So
quick.
basically, you go on bunny.com and you would say, especially for people who are tight for time,
Okay.
maybe like it's a family's coming in and you have from 8 or 7:30 until
Okay.
8 o'clock,
Or
and
you
then
have a child that really doesn't like waiting in line.
that too, that you fast pass it. So you pay a nominal fee, and then
Okay.
you're given a time, and you're able to, just like at Disney, skip the line. Where that really
cool.
comes in handy is
Yeah.
for Santa. I will tell you,
Ooh.
because Santa is so popular.
Santa is really popular.
A lot of parents are like, it's worth that
The line
nominal
goes
fee.
around Santa
Exactly.
and then down to
Yeah. Yeah, so the Easter Bunny's here. We have a new set this year. Love to hear what everyone thinks of it.
Okay.
And on the one side, you can have your child's picture taken with the bunny. And on the other side, because we live in a photo op world, we have a wonderful frame with bunny ears that you can go up to. So I see children of all ages. I think that's the nicest way to say it. And a lot of times we'll pop in at the mall and we're like, oh, can we take a picture of everybody? So yeah, boyfriends, girlfriends, moms, daughters, everybody, just having a lot of fun with it.
Well, you know what? We're out of time.
Oh boy, wow.
Thank you so much
Oh, you're
for coming. I
welcome.
loved hearing all of the stories. Can't wait for
Thanks.
all these phases to happen.
Good.
Maybe there'll be a phase 4.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to thank you, Sheila,
No,
for coming
thank
on.
you.
And I also want to thank everyone at home for tuning in this evening. I hope you are as excited about the changes that are happening over at the mall as I am. And hopefully I will see you at one of those wonderful establishments. If not, I will definitely see you around town. Good night.